We also try to cover news that we feel is good for people to learn, potentially provide a little bit more context. On Monday, we learned of a video that was made publicly available by Kyron Lacey's lawyer. In it, what we thought showed more context to the accident that inevitably led to the tragic loss of 2 lives, with Herman Hall, who dies in a car accident, and then Kyron Lacey, who later ends up killing himself because of the fallout of everything in which he was accused. We thought we had more context. Now more video has been made publicly available, and it shows even more context where Kyron Lacey is driving on the wrong side of the road and could have very easily made the case that he caused the car to swerve and cause the tragic accident. We apologize for adding any more heat and will continue to stay on top of the news breakings in this story because obviously it's tragically sad and involves an athlete's legacy. We'll see you in the next hour.
All right, so that's Pat McAfee. It's from all reports, I didn't see it live, but all of that people are saying didn't air actually on air at ESPN. They had some sort of mysterious technical difficulty, according to some. It did that entire apology. We got it off of social media where it was posted, and it aired. And fine job by Pat McAfee backpedaling out of that. And here is Scott Van Pelt with his backpedal. And this was really, really hard to find. This was really hard to find. It wasn't on social media. It's hard to find on the internet. But, you know, I put a little money out on the streets, as I'm prone to do. I put a little money out on the streets, and someone recorded it from their television and then sent it to me over social media. Thank you, young man. Salute. Enjoy the $200 for, 10 minutes worth of work? That's a good day's deal for you. Thank you. But anyway, let's play Scott Van Pelt walking back his words.
Late last week, the attorney for former LSU football player Kyron Lacey released a video challenging the version of events Louisiana State Police used to cite Lacey in a December auto accident which claimed the life of 78-year-old Herman Hall. On Tuesday, state police released a video and records defending their initial findings that alleged Lacey's operation of the vehicle created a chain of events that resulted in the crash that claimed Hall's life. Lacey's car is seen moving at a high rate of speed in the wrong lane just prior to the incident. Lacey faced several charges, including felony negligent homicide, but died by suicide days before a grand jury was set to convene, meaning his guilt or innocence will not be tried in a criminal court. The one certainty here is that this was a senseless tragedy in December, and it's magnified by a second life lost in April. I apologize for the incomplete reaction that aired on this show on Monday night.
Great job, Scott Van Pelt. I probably would have done a little more, but I feel like Scott Van Pelt did enough. I feel like Pat McAfee did enough, and this isn't me trying to be a groupie for these guys or cape up for these guys. They made a mistake. They owned it publicly on air. The information, you got to dig a little hard to find Scott Van Pelt's. You had to watch it last night, or you got to go to my Twitter feed to find it now. The cover-up does raise some eyebrows about what's going on at ESPN. When I call it a cover-up, it's a small cover-up. This information should be easy to find. Like Scott Van Pelt and his ESPN, they should have tweeted out his apology. It should be easily available on the internet. But they're probably scared to death because someone in law enforcement in Louisiana may decide to sue ESPN. And I'm sure ESPN is petrified of being sued because what was done was irresponsible. They basically accused law enforcement in Louisiana of framing Kyron Lacey. And the first question you have to ask when someone framed for what? What would be the purpose in framing Kyron Lacey? What win would they've just jailed and incarcerated a young black man? That's not hard to do in America. I mean, let's be real. A lot of black men volunteer for incarceration. You don't need to hunt them down and frame them to lock them up. Many of them volunteer. They choose a life of crime, and they don't hide it. They dress like criminals. They present themselves like criminals. They want to be mistaken for being criminals. But Ryan Clark and others, and I'm going to get to you, RG3, think that there's got to be a massive plot to convict young black men of crimes. As if there aren't a lot of, hey, I'm doing crime. I'm making music about doing crime. I'm presenting myself with my pants hanging off my butt and my language and everything that says I'm a criminal. I want to be mistaken for a criminal. It's the cool thing. But Ryan Clark and others think man, no, there's a secret plot by all of these white people and races and sellouts like Jason Whitlock that are making these guys look like criminals when they're really just young men with straight A's and going to church every Sunday, and they're just trying to live their best life. This is the buffoonery and clownishness that ESPN has seemingly embraced and promoted. That Ryan Clark continues to hold on to a platform. Monday Night Football with Scott Van Pelt, on air with Stephen A. Smith on First Take, on air with Greeny and all that Ryan Clark seems to be one of the big prominent faces of ESPN. And his agenda, every time he gets an opportunity, is, hey man, there's a systematic plot to destroy young black men, and it's being executed by law enforcement. There is a systematic plot to make black men think that they're criminals and that they should present themselves as criminals. You never hear Ryan Clark talking about that plot. That black men have been brainwashed into believing that the coolest, blackest, most positive thing they can do is present themselves so that people think that they're criminals. And then they can pretend like, man, you're racist for thinking I'm a criminal. Yes, I dress like one. Yes, I talk like one. Yes, I have gold chains and gold teeth and tats all over my body. And yes, I'm doing everything in my power to present myself as a criminal. But you're racist for thinking it. I want to refresh your memory on Ryan Clark and what he did Monday night and drug Scott Van Pelt and everybody into this mess. I just want to refresh your memory for those that have forgotten. Let's play SOT number 3.
Yes, please. Yes. I beg your pardon. I did want to clear space for this.
1 second, please.
This is important.
Yes, guys, Kyron Lacy was supposed to be in the NFL. Kyron Lacy was accused of something and being investigated for something that he didn't do, and he died having to live with the guilt and the consequences of a guilty man knowing he was innocent. It recently was discovered that he was 72 yards away from the crash, that police and state policemen tried to coerce and doctor and use ways to manipulate statements that put this young man behind bars. They changed his joy, they changed his life, and eventually he took his own life. This was supposed to be a career, but at least he was supposed to be here. At some point throughout his career, I would expect to have said his name. So I'm going to say his name.
And run it back to, this was supposed to be a career, but Ryan Clark says something very, very nonsensical. I need to hear it again. And I've heard this, I've watched this several times. This is the first time I really caught and listened very intently to this man is talking complete nonsense. Could we play it again or back it up to that point or just play the whole thing again? Whatever we need to do. I need to hear that again. Play the clip.
Please. Yes. I beg your pardon. I did want to clear space for this.
1 second, please.
This is important.
Yes, guys, Kyron Lacy was supposed to be in the NFL. Kyron Lacy was accused of something and being investigated for something that he didn't do, and he died having to live with the guilt and the consequences of a guilty man knowing he was innocent. It recently was discovered that he was 72 yards away from the crash, that police and state policemen tried to coerce and doctor and use ways to manipulate statements that put this young man behind bars. They changed his joy, they changed his life, and eventually he took his own life. This was supposed to be a career, but at least he was supposed to be here. At some point throughout his career, I would expect to have said his name. So I'm going to say his name tonight. Kyren Lacy was.
Let me hit pause here. This was supposed to be a career, but at least he was here. Is he trying to do a rap song in the middle of this? Did he go full Bad Bunny here? This was supposed to be a career, but at least he was here. What the hell is he talking about?